you are someone who's living in a situation that you do not particularly want to be in, um, and because there are certain times during your spiritual journey when, before you're about to be released and set on your destined path to receive all these blessings, you will be placed in a healing container where you must address your mother wounds, you must address your father wounds, you must address any other wounds. And even if your mother and father are not alive, or your parents or your community are not with you, you will still be faced with situations pertaining to how you were raised, because it is important that you succeed on your destined path. And so, in order to expand and hold a higher frequency and even hold more wealth and all these things and get access to certain stuff, depending on what you are manifesting, you have to go through a phase where you do your deep healing. And I see this happen time and time again with my clients, but it also happened to me. That's why I wanted to share it. And you will basically be tested if you're ready to get off the karmic wheel. And so the first time I was released, it was actually with someone who was close to me. And long story short, like, I fucked it up the first time. I fucked it up the first time royally, um, and made it pretty far, but it was still very clear that there was a lot of healing that I needed to do. And so I was guided. I'm so sorry. And so I was guided back to my container of where I needed to do more healing to release these wounds. And then after that time was over, I was released, and the things that I was manifesting before had then started coming back around, but in a different form, because my energy was different. And so if you are in a place where, because I just kept hearing like, am I ever going to get out of this? Am I ever going to manifest what I am wanting? All these things. You have to make sure that you are prioritizing your healing, even if you feel like you don't want to. And it also means like, make sure that you are focusing on loving yourself, because that's going to be the biggest lesson of how deeply can you surrender to loving yourself and not succumbing to your ego, regardless of, you know, low frequencies around you, spiritual attacks, instability with your finances, all of these things, because that stuff will happen spiritually. And also, while you are journeying with that, you have to learn how to get out of it. You have to learn what you're capable of. You have to learn how to hold the frequency of money in order to get out. It's basically like, it's kind of like a level, literally, in a game where you're going to be put through all of these tests to see if you feel worthy enough to become the person that you are trying to become, so then you can move towards your manifestations, right? And if for some reason you don't quite make it, it gets reset. It's like freaking Groundhog's Day. And the last time I had gone back, there was literally a sign that wasn't there before, and it said final stop. And so I knew that this was like it. I was like, I'm dealing with this now. I'm never making this mistake again, and I'm going to fight tooth and nail for the life that I want to create for myself, because I deserve that. And so ask yourself, if you're really surrendered to your path, like, if you're are you truly surrendering, or are you still in a state of giving up easily, right? And like, down to what you are eating day to day or who you are interacting with? Are you still giving yourself the excuse of, but they mean so well, right? Or are you still telling people too much about your life? Or are you refusing to do your healing and you just think that because you're hermiting and you're inside and you don't want to talk to people, that will suffice for your destiny? That's not going to suffice. Being in your healing energy also means that you have the strength to go outside and show yourself when spirit asks you to create. For most of you, because you're going to be entrepreneurs, which is why you're there, like to create the business and the income that you are desiring, but you have to show signs of faith and stability and self-worth instead of selfishness. Because just because you're in hermit mode doesn't mean that you don't like interact with people or all those things. No, you learn discernment, but you also have to let the universe know that you are serious about what you are trying to manifest and you're not going to give up regardless of what sort of outcome you are perceiving to be true, right? Because that's what's so amazing about the spiritual realm, is even if you think nothing's happening, there's so much happening. And so I just wanted to share that, because in that phase where you're doing your generational healing, where you are releasing mother and father like woundings or community woundings or hardship, all those things, it all comes at one time. And it's like, one minute it's heartbreaking, another minute you're freaking angry, the next week you're like feel like you're losing your mind. Like, my heart goes out to you, and I just wanted to tell you that you can do it. You just have to stay focused, and you just have to keep going. And even when I was there during those times, I didn't have a ton of money, and even then spirit was like, I need you to buy this, I need you to do this, I need you to X, Y, and Z, because it was also like a test of my trust fall, my trust fall, and learning where my manifestation and energetic capacity was with money, and what I was going to do with it, right? Was I going to make poor decisions? Was I actually going to plan my future? Was I going to use the excuse that I never learned about money to like make bad decisions? Was I going to be avoidant? Was I still going to like overgive to people, right? So know that everything happens for a reason, and you can either sit in this healing container that spirit has put you in, or like a pause, and be angry, or you can focus on your healing and bring gratitude to your life for the fact that you are in an intentional healing space because of something that's coming towards you, because it's so big that you have to be of a certain frequency in order to receive it. And you are literally being guided by the universe so that you are prepared to receive it. Like, it's up to you on what you want to believe. And one of the best things that someone once told me, and also during my time of healing, like deep healing, you never stop healing, but during that time of healing, towards the end of my journey, like when it was like the darkest hour of the darkest hour, I met my I met my guru. He literally found me in a Whole Foods, and God had told me to go there, and I didn't know why. And so I wandered around the aisles, and then eventually God told me to stand in one place, and then there he was. He came around the corner and was like, I need to talk to you. And everything changed. And in my darkest hour, I received a guru who led me out of that space and powerfully onto my path. It was like the last hurdle that I had to face before I could get out. It was like my version of the boss, basically. So I don't know if everybody always meets a guru. I can't tell you that. But all I can tell you is that that's what happened on my path. And as long as you are staying elevated and focusing on your healing and really putting in the effort, you're going to be okay. But you also have to understand when to push and when to rest, because sometimes people think that when you're in that divine pause, all you do is rest. When I was in my divine pause, I could not rest. There was no rest. I was specifically instructed to not rest. Like, not like stay up really late, but like, this is not the time for, like, it was very clear. It wasn't the time for me to be sitting there for 4 or 5 days, like, resting because I felt like I couldn't do anything. No, it was even on my most tired days, I was running early in the rising. I was training my body. I was saying my mantras. I was running my business. I was making content. I was posting. I was healing. I was working in the community. I was putting myself out there. And when I had the energy, I would try and see a friend. But even then, my instructions were, you don't need friends right now, because something is coming and you are being prepared, right? So doesn't mean you can't see them, but it was like a very clear, you have to stay focused. And so also know what season you are in for your journey, because it's going to be different for everybody. But I wanted to share my own take on it, because depending on your path, like if you're meant to be a spiritual teacher like myself, because that is something that I do every day, being spiritually led, physical health, all of these things, like that sort of training is very, very important. If your destiny is different, then you will likely do something else. But I just want to bring the contrast, because sometimes people go into these divine pauses and then before you know it, it's like 10 years later, you're still in that pause. Like, why are, and you see people like that, like, why are you still in that pause? Because it's like you get comfortable there and you forget the rest of life. Like, you forget your destiny because you don't realize how far deep into your fear you have gone. And so continue to express gratitude so you can be guided and hear the frequency of the universe to tell you which way to go. And what mentors like myself, that you can be guided by. That was like one of my biggest things. Like, whenever spirit told me to work with someone, I always worked with them. I didn't care, because I was like, if God is telling me to do it, I know it's going to work out anyways. I know the money is going to come, and I know there's a reason why they're here and they've crossed my path. So I'm going to pay attention, and I'm going to listen, and I'm going to learn, and I'm going to implement. I'm not just going to make excuses. And during that time, I did not, like, I rarely turned on my TV, and I still don't really turn on my TV ever. Like, I don't watch a lot of shows unless spirit tells me to watch it, and even then I'll watch like 10 minutes of it. Like, it's a different way of living if you're truly wanting to get out of that stage of your life and be able to manifest all the things that you are wanting, depending on your destiny and what you want to truly call in. And some people, it's not that energy, because that's not what they're calling in. If they just want to have a different job, then that's more easily achieved. But if you have really big dreams and you feel like you have a big purpose, then you have big healing to do. You have big responsibility, right? To be trusted with that amount of wealth and that amount of freedom and that amount of visibility. So take your healing journey with pride, but know that it will take work. So I just wanted to share that, because it just was on my heart, and it just kept pinging in my head, which usually maybe it's someone like thinking about it, um, and wanting to have the answer. And so I'm going to be sharing more of my spiritual experience to make it easier on everybody, in perhaps in audio form. So be sure to follow along and pay attention. I'll make sure it's getting dropped in all the social media channels, depending on where you are following me. Um, and I'll have some new meditations that are dropping on Insight Timer really soon. One for astral protection, and deep rest and releasing anxiety, and another one for manifestation with affirmations. So, make sure that you're taking advantage of those because they're absolutely free on Insight Timer, and they're going to be very powerful for you on your journey, especially if you are in the phase of your life where you are doing the deep healing right now. Um, they'll be very supportive. That's why I created them, because I went through a lot of my journey and still do. It's like me and my guru, um, by myself. And yeah, having friends from time to time, but even then, you don't have the same access to them after a while, because you have to stay dedicated to who you are, and you have to stay dedicated to your practices, and like being devoted. And if you really want to help humanity, you have to have a really big frequency. And so I never wanted anybody to experience the same thing. That's why I make so many resources on so many platforms, to ensure that you know that your situation is temporary and it will change. And if you just follow the signs, if you do the deep healing, and you truly trust, everything is going to work out better than you think. And it's always a blessing in disguise. And as hard as it was, and heart, gut wrenching, and depressed I got, and all these things, I don't regret it, because I learned so much about myself. And if it means that I had to go through that to get to where I am today, and basically living in paradise and doing what I want all day long, and having financial freedom, and I mean, it's kind of a dream, then I would do it all over again, because it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. And now I get to share it with everybody else, and show whoever needs this that you're gonna make it. We always make it, even if our brain tells us we're not. We always make it. So I'm sending you lots of love, lots of hugs. Be sure to follow along. Come join my classes during the week. If you need extra mentoring, come join More Than Worthy. I'm telling you, it's absolutely worth it. 6 months of just a beautiful container. And I enjoy seeing everybody just making their quantum leaps. And right now, until November 22nd, there's like special pricing that's going to end. But right now it's open, so be sure to apply in my link tree or in the description, depending on what platform you're on. And we can chat about how you can start, and I can help you, so you do not feel alone, and that you can rest assured that you have everything you need to get through this time in your life. So I'm sending you so much love. My name is Z. I'm the fairy medicine woman, and I will talk to you soon. Oh, and don't forget to pre-save my song, The Stars in Me. It's really freaking phenomenal. And who knows, maybe sometime soon I'll be touring in your area. See you soon.